Hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for the Miles Franklin channel and a quick video about the Federal Reserve and Alan Greenspan. Fed did have its meeting today. They raised interest rates as expected from 2.25% to 2.5%. Although also as expected, lowers the 2019 projection to 2 increases. So again, perhaps maybe not turning on the printing presses at full speed just yet signaling what many in the gold and silver community have forecast for quite a while, that eventually if they raised rates, the pressure would be felt in the stock, bond, and real estate bubbles, which it surely has. You've seen the volatility in the stock market the last month or two. Real estate been struggling all throughout the year. Although the bond bubble is still largely intact with the 10-year yield in the U.S. around 2.85%. But again, while the Fed didn't launch QE 5, 6, and 7 today, still the idea that they're slowly reversing course, and it'll be interesting to see how the markets react to today's increase, and that there still will be further ones. Will put further pressure on the bubbles. But interestingly, you don't really have to take my opinion for this analysis of the Federal Reserve, because we can go to Alan Greenspan, former Federal Reserve chairman, who himself is saying investors should prepare for the worst. There is the maestro, who famously warned more than 2 decades ago about irrational exuberance in the stock market. Said doesn't see equity prices going any higher than they are. It would be very surprising to see it sort of stabilize here and then take off, but warned that the correction would be painful at the end of that run for cover. Interesting, I did an interview with Jim Rogers last week. One of the things he mentioned was how Janet Yellen recently said that there would not be another financial debacle or collapse in our lifetime, which Jim found, love his phrasing, is like the audacity of that woman, where she's helped fuel the bubble. I guess she didn't get a chance to launch a QE package during her own term, but certainly held the rates low and facilitated what's been now passed over from Ben Bernanke to her, and then now to Jerome Powell. So, and again, interesting to see Alan Greenspan, certainly a fascinating figure. As you may well know, Greenspan was a gold bug hanging out with Ayn Rand back 60 or 70 years ago. Talks about gold now, did the opposite when he actually was in the Fed chairman position. But sure enough, now he's saying there's a bubble to watch out for. A few other interesting comments. President Trump in recent weeks has taken repeated aim at Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. And White House officials say that Trump continues to privately express anxiety about the markets, even as he publicly insists that the economy is strong. Interesting with the whole Trump dynamic, I've spoken with some geopolitical analysts that I respect and trust that indicate that he is well aware that this is a bubble and that it's on borrowed time. So maybe take some of the things he says publicly with a grain of salt. Who really knows? But amazingly enough, I do agree with the central banker, Alan Greenspan, that investors should be prepared. Hopefully not for the worst. I mean, I think if you're prepared for what's coming, you can come out ahead in these situations. Same way as the folks who saw that there were problems with the housing market and were positioned correctly when it happened, at least financially, they did extremely well, which again is why I talk so much about gold and silver, because whether the Fed continues raising interest rates and the bubbles crash, or if the Fed reverts to printing more money, in either case, we're talking about a lot of chaos in the system. Whether we reach the final break point where the thing is just so fragile that we have to move on to something else, or if they just blow out the printing presses and keep ramping that up, either case, I would certainly want to own gold and silver versus dollars or treasuries. And if that makes sense to you, then by all means call Miles Franklin at 1-800-822-8080. where you can get gold, silver, platinum, palladium. We also offer a lot of education because we appreciate letting our customers feel comfortable, understand what they're doing, understand why so many people talk about gold and silver, and what the potential upside of buying at today's pricing could be. So anyway, that's today's video. So fascinating things happening with the Fed. Alan Greenspan, again, remember he was, who knows what he's thinking now, but certainly wrote for years about gold and silver and sound money and is warning about the stock market bubble now. So this case, I do agree with Alan Greenspan. And again, if you would like to purchase gold or silver, call 1-800-822-8080. And I will see you again soon. Thanks.